Alright guys, you know the drill. Another day, another video. We got a 2009 what is this? Ford Fusion? I think it's a 2.3. Guy says it barely runs. They did drive it here. He claims that they just bought it. Not sure if it ran this way before and he sold it to this guy this way. I don't know. Well, that's never a good sign. Some bolts that are probably not where they should be. Let's see if we can start her up. $165,000 miles. It smells like weed so bad in here. Oh, terrible. Ooh, she's not running good. Not running good at all. Well, let's see if we can bring it into the shop here. No throttle response. Let's pop the hood, see what we're dealing with here. The fan is running constantly. That's weird. Well, let's shut it off, get a scanner hooked up, and see what we got. So we got a few codes in there. Map sensor, cam position sensor, cylinder head temperature sensor. I kind of got to looking around here, and well, there's the cam sensor, and the bolt is loose. That connector's not plugged in. Let's just pull this sensor out, see what's going on here. Well, that looks all right. Did they just not plug it in? Yeah, let's tighten her down. See if that gets rid of that code. We also have a map sensor code. That sensor is down here. And that is at least plugged in. All right. Cylinder head. Temperature. Let's see. Well, that wasn't even plugged in. What the heck is going on here? Is everything just left unplugged? Man, that doesn't look good at all. That's probably why the fan was running constantly on high speed. Oh shoot. Look at the sensor. It's moving around. So that's broken. Let's just see if we can plug that in. See if we can read something on there. Okay, so we plugged in the cam position sensor and the cylinder head temperature sensor. So I'm just looking at the cylinder head temperature, 48 degrees. So at least that's reading now. Let's try starting it and see if we get a cam position sensor code. Still not running the best. It does say our cam position sensor status, no fault. cylinder head temperature, is climbing. The heck was that noise? Looks like it's got a misfire. Oh boy. Trying to keep it running with the throttle, and oh, there we go. Exhaust is very stinky. So it'll run, it'll come out of it at higher RPM, but it don't idle. I'm gonna look at some fuel trim here, see what's going on there. So just rechecked it for codes here. We still have the map sensor code, P0106, and a P2195, which is O2 sensor, not switching, indicating lean. So next step, we're just going to check our long and short-term fuel trim and see what's going on there. I'm thinking we might have a vacuum leak, and that would explain the map sensor code and the O2 sensor code. So let's start this thing up and see what that tells us. Not telling us anything yet. It's almost like I hear a vacuum leak. Let me grab a can of brake cleaner. Okay, so that definitely sounds like it's down here. You know what that is? That's the intake runner control, and that's why it runs so bad. So that's going to be a manifold, because you can't repair those. It's just replace the manifold with a new one. So alright, we need to price out some stuff here, call the customer, and see what they want to do. Well, no luck with Ford. The part is discontinued from Ford, so I was kind of hoping they would offer an aftermarket one through the parts warehouse. Nothing there. So I checked on Amazon. They actually cross-reference the part number, and they actually have them for sale. So even though I hate using Amazon parts, it's either that or put on a used one. So I ordered one in. We're gonna see what happens with that, if it's something worth putting on or not. We'll just have to see. That sensor just needed to be plugged in, took care of that. This needs to be replaced. The pigtail and the cylinder head temperature sensor also needs to be replaced. So I got both of those parts coming. Ford did actually have those in stock. So, all right. We're gonna wait a couple days, see what happens when that manifold shows up. Hopefully it's the right one. Hopefully it's gonna work. We'll see. But I'll bring you back in a couple days when parts show up, and we'll hopefully get this thing fixed. Okay guys, we're back in the shop. It's been a few days. But we're back on this Fusion. Buddy Bezos came through. We got an intake manifold, or whatever's in this box. We also got some parts here. Coolant temp sensor, or cylinder head temp sensor, I should say. That's what it looks like. Then we got the connector for it, the pigtail connector. So we got to replace those also. Let's open this guy up and see what's inside. Looks like an intake manifold. It actually comes with the seals and everything. I am kind of surprised, actually. It looks like the right one. New seals. We got our actuator. It came with the actuator and everything. So on our manifold right now, the leak is coming from this area right here. So I'm not sure if the plug fell out or what happened there, but we are going to pull that intake off and get started. So that came off pretty easy. A few things to note on this intake manifold. This is your PCV hose here. A lot of times these will kind of get oil soaked and start sucking themselves in. That can create a vacuum leak. This one actually looks pretty good though, so I'm kind of surprised. Looking at the manifolds, yeah, again, I am surprised with the way this manifold looks. I mean, I'm thinking it's a China knockoff one, but again, that's kind of what we have to do, or put a used one on. Let's take a look at the shaft here. You can kind of see, let me get a light here. So you can see that shaft. There should be a cap on this end, and that is missing. The intake runners are very loose. Let's go to this one. You can see the cap in place, and the intake runners are nice and tight. The shaft does not move at all. Let's flip this around and I'll kind of show you what needs to be done here. We got to switch over our map sensor. We do have to switch over the solenoids. We need to make sure that we have the correct hoses on the correct valves, and those in the right spot. And then also I wanted to kind of talk to you about how this bolts on the engine here. This bolt right here, the power steering sits right next to it, and it is a pain in the butt to get to. But a little secret is you can kind of angle a extension in there with a 10mm swivel and get at that bolt from this runner. You got one hidden bolt That is through this hole right in there. That one's kind of a pain in the butt to get, but 2 right here, 2 through here, 1 here, 1 there, and then this one again you can get from this intake runner with a swivel and extension. You do not have to take the power steering pump off to get this manifold out. So we just got the cylinder head cleaned up, ready for the intake to go back on. First thing we gotta do is switch all the old parts over that we need to reuse to the new manifold. We also have the cylinder head temperature sensor and connector to replace. So let's get started. Okay, so just to recap what we got going on here. We got our intake manifold to repair the vacuum leak, cylinder head temperature sensor and connector. And just by doing this repair, I'm finding a lot of stuff that, you know, somebody was into this, definitely trying to figure out what was going on. I'm noticing 4 new coils. There's some clamps that have been left loose. And I'm not saying that it's the owner. It could be the previous owner. They just tried toying with it and gave up on it or something. I don't know. I don't know the whole story. I'm not sure that this is all that's wrong with this vehicle either. So with that being said, cylinder head temperature sensor. This is the new one. Or excuse me, the old one. And the new one I put in is much shorter. I mean, it only goes maybe that far. So this one was much longer. That's kind of weird. Maybe an updated part, I don't know. You can see how broke that is. Yeah, it still reads. You know, it's just the wires that go up through there. But since we're here, we're gonna replace it. We're gonna make it right. And yeah, move on. This is the connector. Again, replace that too. So next step is to clear codes. All right, I'm gonna reach in there, start it up, and hopefully she runs nice and smooth. We'll see. There might be more to this story, but we'll see. Definitely had a flare on that idle there. Not sure what that was about. Runs a lot smoother though. Just gonna recheck it for codes. See if there's anything that's going on there. Oh boy. Intake runner control stuck open. Let's figure out what's going on with that. Hopefully it's not this intake manifold. Hopefully it's just, hopefully it's something that I did. We'll find out. Make sure that all the actuators are plugged in, all the hoses are plugged in, and then we'll go from there. All right, guys. I'll tell you, this is kind of, I was kind of praising this intake manifold. Not so much anymore. So again, we have these intake runner control codes. Let's look at this valve here. And you can see the pins in there, right? Let me get you up here and see if we can see the pins in this one. I don't see any pins there. Look up in here. I just plugged it in, assumed that there was pins in there. This isn't really reassuring either. Coolant's leaking everywhere out of this thing. I love these jobs. Guess we need to check and see if that cap is bad. Just coolant pouring all over the place. She's just pouring out of this thing. There's a seal in there. Oh, okay. You know what that's from? That's from a light bulb on a light. Something got set down there and melted the tank. So it needs a tank also. And then I got to pull that intake runner control off and see what's going on with that thing. Here we go. All right, guys. I cannot make this up. I would not recommend this manifold. I'm going to put it in the link in the description below, just so you can stay away from this manifold. But I want to show you this actuator. I just pulled this off, the new one. There is no pins in there. Not a single pin. Look at that. What the hell? So, what I'm going to try to do, instead of pulling the manifold off and sending it back, I guess is try pulling this off and see if it will fit on the new manifold. This one actually has pins in it. So, why would they even offer that? Why would you offer that? Like, this is why I try and stay away from eBay parts, Amazon parts. I don't do it often, but the few times I've done it, this is kind of how it goes. So I know a lot of parts are made in China. I mean, in the automotive industry, we have all sorts of parts made in China. This is just kind of ridiculous. So that's what I'm going to try to do. Let's try swapping that over and see if we can get this manifold to work. Like I said, the alternative is a used manifold, which, you know, everything I looked at in the junkyard is, you know, 150,000 plus. This one don't even have 150,000 on it, so they're going to be wore out too, I would imagine. So that's kind of why I'm spending time to dick around with this, honestly. And I'm losing patience real fast. So let's see if we can make it work. That's all we can do. Okay, so it looks like it's actually going to work. Pulled this off the old manifold here. I just can't believe that. Why even put one on there at that point? I did switch. This has a ball on it and a cam. I did pull it out of the new one just because this one does not seem that good. I mean, you could pull it out of here and use this one too, but yeah, we're gonna replace it, put it on this one, just to make sure this thing actually holds vacuum. I'll depress the plunger here. And block our port off. Okay, everything seems to work there. So hopefully we can just swap this around, no more codes, and get this intake to work. That's the plan. Okay, well that took care of it. Had it running here for a little bit. No more codes, so keep that in mind. If you get these manifolds, they got actuators with no electrical internals. So yeah, I gotta talk to the customer about replacing this before I can take it for a test drive. That's not gonna hold any coolant or pressure. Don't want it to overheat or cause any issues. At least she runs nice and smooth. Hopefully we're on the downhill slide here of stuff to get done with this. Let me tell you, the struggle is real. One thing after another. So, but that's gonna do it for today's video, guys. Thanks again for watching. Like, subscribe, do all that stuff, and we'll see you on the next one.